Hey, Vegas local. Yeah, no, I just heard back from player safety local about what the issue has been with the refs. They finally figured out what the problem was. Right, so I'm calling to let you know what it is. And then if you could let the other guys know so that I don't have to have this conversation 4 times. Yeah, so it turns out that the referee was actually just 3 kids in a trench coat who snuck into the game and didn't actually realize that they had to referee. Yeah, it turns out that the referees time traveled back to 1982, and before they came back, they were blinded with science. Yeah, it turns out it was Donald Trump in a referee outfit, and he was too busy looking at his very, very big hands. Yeah, it turns out it was Joe Biden in a referee outfit, and he just forgot he was refereeing a game. Yeah, it turns out the referee forgot everything he knew except for fine dining and breathing. Yeah, it turns out the referee was just cast in Hockey the Musical, and he was too distracted trying to remember what his lines were. That's a real thing, by the way. Look it up. Yeah, so it turns out the refs are just really bad at their jobs. Low quality fans of a high quality Bruins team, welcome back. We're growing it back in. I'm feeling bored. Feeling so bored. Today we're going to talk about our beloved GM, Don Sweeney, and our beloved coach, Bruce Cassidy. But first, like, comment, subscribe, snuck it in there. Can I get your opinion on something? A lot of you are probably still watching the semifinals, right? I mean, I've had my years where I went, the Bruins are out, I can't, I'm mad, I can't watch, I can't. I still watch, but like I can't. But this year, I'm watching everything. I'm just like, I need it. This year has been crazy. Hockey and this channel just gave me something that every single day I got to look forward to. My girlfriend hated it, but I really looked forward every single day to either watching a Bruins game because of the condensed schedule or making a video about the last Bruins game. And now here we are. I don't get to do that as much. And not only that, but I'm watching Montreal and Vegas be an absolute snooze fest, man. This is not an entertaining series. The goaltenders, woo! That is fun to watch. But even then, you're sitting there going, okay, but every 8 minutes I get a really cool, wow. We're talking 7 a game? Come on. Snooze fest. For me personally, again, maybe you think differently. And then on the other side, the Isles Lightning, which is actually a better series, I think. Still, I don't like it. I don't like it. Obviously, this comes from a different place, right? Vegas is 4 years old. They're very campy and cheesy, which I think is great for the league. And look, people have been criticizing people who hate Vegas because of those reasons. Guys, hate fuels the NHL. Like, that's the point. Don't criticize fans for hate watching hockey. Like, that's revenue for the league. I watch teams I really don't like because I'm rooting for them to lose. We don't have to criticize people for shitting on teams. Like, that's the point, right? As a fan, like, you pick the teams you don't like. And I personally don't like Vegas that much. I don't really know why. I have, like, this idea that they shouldn't be winning already, but you look at their expansion draft, and, God, that team sucked on paper and all of a sudden went to the fucking finals. Like, people saying that they were gifted a really competitive team, there is not a sports writer, there is not one who predicted them to go past the first round in their first year. In fact, I only think I found one writer who predicted them an outside chance of making the playoffs. We all thought that team would suck. They really struck gold on a couple of these guys that were playing like bottom 9 minutes. Like, I don't know. Anyway. But so I'm not a Vegas guy. And I'm not a Montreal guy because I will never hear the end of it. February 8th, I made the video saying that the Montreal Canadiens will not win another cup until I die. February 8th. And they were good, by the way, February 8th. They were playing a hell of a season. Problem is, it fell off, and I felt real confident with that video, and then they make the playoffs, and now they're in the semifinals. I'll never hear the end of it. That can't happen, guys, please. I know I'm cursed. I understand that. I've never had proof like this. What I say, the opposite happens. I've never had proof like this. I have some pretty rock solid proof out there. Sorry, Des Bryant. That's a different story. It can't happen, guys. Please, God, please, no. I don't want to root for the Islanders, although I think that's the way I'm leaning. because they were booing and chanting when Carlo was clearly concussed on the ice, and I'm just bitter about it. Like, that's just a me thing, man. I'm just angry. Every fan base has their bad ones, but that really bothered me. And then the Lightning have their asterisk on it. And stop. They're not cheating. They're not. The league went through this once in 2015 with Patrick Kane. The Chicago Blackhawks basically did the same thing. And in 2020, the new CBA had a chance to prevent this from happening going forward. And they purposefully didn't. And then the Lightning just lucked out, man. They lucked out. They planned ahead, but all the stars aligned for them to be able to do the same thing. Do I think it's a little sus, the timing of him coming back? Sure. I think everyone thinks that. They're playing like a team, like Dougie Hamilton said, that's $18 million over the cap. That's not an insult, because they literally are. They have more talent on the ice because of a loophole rule. They should win, right? It would be actually kind of embarrassing if they lost. I don't think they're cheating. I don't want them to win, because it's going to fuel a fire and everyone's going to be like, Astros championship. And I hate that shit. Those guys are still fucking earning it. This isn't a cakewalk. But they should win, right? Like, Lightning fans have to understand that. Man, if this team doesn't win, that's really going to come back on us. That's a long-winded way to say I'm bored because I don't want any of these teams to win. But there's also another part to it. You sit there and watch and go, why is it the Bruins couldn't be in the semifinals? Where did we go wrong? And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to start with the coaching, because I think there were some pretty bad mistakes made. But let's start with Rask, right? The Rask decision. You ride or die. Game 6. He has had a torn labrum. Turns out most of the season, reports came out saying that he's been dealing with the injury all season long. He had never played more than 3 games in a row. In hindsight, you really go, why was he playing every game in the playoffs then? If you knew you had a capable backup, why not just slot him in one game? Prevent us from having to go into game 6 and ride or die by Rask by starting him game 4, right? I understand the reasoning behind it from Cassidy's side. I think Cassidy didn't have the balls to pull him out. And that's a tough one. That's a tough statement, because hindsight's a bitch. We all get the benefit of that, right? We get to go, well, obviously you should have because we lost. Had we won, Cassidy would have been a genius. You got to go by your elite goaltender. And I agree with that. It felt like he painted himself into a corner and it was too late by the time he actually hit the corner. So there's your first issue. And obviously we're focusing on the Islanders series because that's what ended our season. If I wanted to judge the coaching on the whole season, I'd actually be pretty impressed. We had a lot of injuries and we kept everything floating for most of it. But then we get to game 4, I believe it was, where the fourth line was playing massive minutes in the third. That's a game we lost, by the way. And on one side of things, you go, well, you decided to play Rask no matter what because he's your elite goaltender. Why are you putting the fourth line out so much when they're getting buckled late in a game? When your top 2 lines outplayed the Islanders every time they were on the ice pretty much. That's another strike. I didn't understand how many, in this game 5, completely different. He went all in with the top 2 lines. Game 6 as well. I am really surprised by the amount of ice time that the fourth line was getting when we really needed some goals. The more I think about this, I don't have positives in that series for the coaching. I really don't. Other than maybe him yelling at the refs. Like, that's fine. Like, you tried to play your game, it backfired on us, but you have to do something at a certain point. Strike 3, refusing to put DeBrusk on the left side. What is up with that? We know DeBrusk is better on his strong side. We know that. And you have your feelings about DeBrusk. A lot of you want him gone. Look, that's a whole different conversation. But you can't tell me that you're watching this kid struggle, and instead of just moving him over to the left and taking Richie, who was non-existent, out for a game, and putting Koeman on the right side, giving Coyle just speed to work with, straight forward line speed. What? Refusing to put DeBrusk in the best situation to succeed. Weird. I did not get that at all. Or, how about this? Wagner and Corrali staying in the lineup no matter how badly they played. Lazar was trying to carry that line, and Corrali had better moments. Wagner did not. Wagner was an absolute issue our entire playoff run. And you want to talk about, well, he's got that grit, he'll finish hits. Bro, he's finishing hits 6 feet away from the plate. The pucks are going by him. Refusing to take those guys out when they're a negative. Put someone else in and hopefully they're not a negative. But we wouldn't know because you just continued with the same shit. Very little adjustments made. Lastly, the penalty kill was awful. And that's tough because it felt like just a bad streak for our penalty kill. So it's hard to blame the coaching for that. But I didn't really get why there weren't more adjustments being made. End of the day, though, the injury to Carlo, Lauzon's injuries he was still dealing with. There's not a lot you can do there, I guess. People asked for my take on the coaching. And honestly, the Islanders series outcoached by a mile. There were so little adjustments. The bottom six was bad. Coyle was getting better. I really think he was. But the bottom six was bad. And no matter what, we just kept putting him out there. We didn't change the lineups. We didn't shift things around. We took DeBrusk out once. Like, what? How is that helping? We know DeBrusk has been bad. He wasn't the worst one in the lineup. It doesn't make sense. And in hindsight, again, we have that option. But I was not impressed with Cassidy in this lineup. It does not mean that I want him fired. But it's fair game to criticize. It really felt like he shrunk. He just didn't have the balls to make the moves. I don't get it. Which leads us to what were his options, right? Because Don Sweeney had built this team. So where does the criticism fall on Don? Honestly, does the criticism land on Don? I am seeing a lot of Sweeney takes. But a lot of them depend on the 2015 draft. And let's actually not talk about that. Because, first of all, we get it. We know. We took 3 players before Matthew Barzal. Barzal just eliminated us from the playoffs. We get it. We missed in that draft. He missed in that draft. But guys, we have to talk about this year. And what he did this year to give us the best chance to win. Which I thought was a lot. When you're talking about Sweeney, the question is, do we have the right strategy? You look around at the teams in the postseason and go, wow, they are all grinding teams. The Lightning sort of are grinding teams, but they got a lot of talent. Vegas is big and fast. They are absolutely, I know that they have the ability to be flashy. That's a grinding team. So you've got 3 really tough, heavy teams, and then you have the Lightning, which have tough, heavy bottom 6s, and then a lot of skill on the top 6. Right away, what do you think about the Bruins? Top 6, as skilled as they come. We absolutely could match up with any team with our top 6. Bottom 6, nothing. We got nothing from them. And I chalk some of this up to a rough season by Coyle and DeBrusk. The fourth line is terrible. The acquisition of Lazar, brilliant. He absolutely made a positive difference on that line. The other 2 sucked. They were bad. They're very good hockey players. Just a reminder that when I say they sucked, they're very, very good hockey players. They were bad in comparison to their peers. Bad. Our defense, injuries. I mean, you could talk about not having the depth on defense. And the reason everyone's talking about how we need a left defenseman is because Riley is not being re-signed by the Bruins this year. I think we always assumed he was a rental. He played himself into a big contract. We're not going to be able to pay him. So we still need to find a left defenseman. That being said, there were injuries on the defense that we could not recover from. And that led to the question of, do we have enough depth? No, but also who does? Grzelcyk was dealing with stuff. He was taking a lot of big hits. He had a very bad game in Game 6. He was dealing with injuries. Carlo obviously goes down. Kevin Miller goes down. Lauzon's recovering still from the wrist injury. We had 4 defensemen that were at least not 100%. Every team's dealing with it. I get that. Every team's dealing with injuries. But the depth question is, do you have a guy like Lauzon who you can just throw into the lineup? He's your 7th D. We did. Connor Clifton. I know, crazy, but he played amazing in the postseason. He was the next guy up, and he came in. And then we needed an 8th guy. Sure, we didn't really have the 8th guy. We sort of did, but is your 8th guy supposed to be that much better than Tenorti? Every year, a team faces too many injuries. And then people jump on the GM about not having enough depth at that position. And you go, your 8th guy is supposed to be an 8th guy. His talent level is supposed to... You're not going to have Victor Hedman come in after an injury. He's not going to be your 8th guy. We're talking about depth issues in hindsight because of injuries, and now we're also acknowledging that Riley is leaving. We do have some depth on defense. Not enough, sure, not enough. But I don't know, man. Maybe if we don't have just the worst injury luck, maybe we're still in the playoffs. Not only that, but we're facing a team other than Anders Lee. I understand that, and they did have other injuries. But we faced a team that had the luckiest puck luck I've ever seen in my life. And it's continued. I don't know if you've been watching the Lightning series, but it's continued. The puck luck for the Islanders, the rules changing in the playoffs, and our injuries were just too much for us to handle. And I don't know if it's fair to criticize Don Sweeney on that. Yes, you always want more depth. You always want it. But this is a little hindsight filled, right? This is a little much. Mike Riley, that acquisition was to fix that problem. I think what we're ignoring is during the trade deadline, we acquired Taylor Hall, Curtis Lazar, and Mike Riley, all of which played significant roles on our team after the deadline. Those were real hockey players that made our team better, all 3. What did we spend? Bjork, who was doghouse. He was absolute doghouse on his team. He could never break the lineup consistently. Cassidy didn't like him. He's gone. And he was good in Buffalo. Good for him. But he's gone. 2nd and 3rd pick. That's it. Bjork, 2nd and 3rd. That's it. For 3 guys who could put in real minutes on this team. We were a wagon after the trade deadline. We were so good. And now we want to sit here and say, Sweeney didn't do enough. Look, I get it. You want to talk about 5-6 years ago and the way they've built this team? Fine. That's a fair criticism. But at a certain point, you have to look at the current body of work, the recent body of work, and go, you know what? He made our team better. And honestly, no one would be surprised if we had won the cup this year because of those moves. No one would have been. This is actually the same thing. This is the same fucking thing as the Vegas draft. Is in hindsight, we go, fucking, the league gifted them a great team. But at the moment we went, holy shit, this team is going to suck. This team is going to be so bad. Guys, after the trade deadline, you, me, all of us went, this team has a shot. Maybe our strategy isn't that bad. Maybe it's just fucking hard to win a cup, man. Maybe this is a run it back kind of team with tweaks. We need to fill Riley's spot. We would like to get more depth on defense if we're going to take 6 fucking injuries every year. The bottom 6 needs to be looked at, but I really think we're 1, maybe 2 moves away from our bottom 6 being really good. And yeah, we'll grab a little more size, a little more grit for down there, but I really think Sweeney did a great job this year. A great job. And I just feel like we're revisionist history on this stuff. We're really just twisting it to be like, someone's got to be to blame. Maybe it's just hard to win a cup. And maybe the coaching staff made a few weird decisions and it didn't work out for us. This is a weird video. I really just wanted to talk to you guys, right? Like, I just wanted to chat about the decisions that were made. I think the coaching got out-coached in the Isles series, and I think they got scared. I think they got scared. They thought that they were supposed to win the cup, and were worried about making a move that could prevent that. And just like the referees not affecting the outcome of games by not doing their job, they're affecting the outcome of games. The coaching staff, being scared of losing the series on a move they made, didn't make a move, might have cost us the series. Sweeney, though, I really thought he did a great job. This year, I really thought he did a great job. By the way, I'm noticing a trend, and I think people are getting the wrong idea with it. Oftentimes, when we remove someone from our bottom 6, we trade them away, or we don't re-sign them. they go on and be very successful elsewhere. Vetrano comes to mind, Achari, Riley Smith, Anders Bjork looks good over in Buffalo. These guys who we didn't give a chance in the top 6 are getting top 6 minutes elsewhere and are playing very well. There are those who are criticizing the Bruins organization for those moves. 2 things about that. 1, every single team has this same problem. Every single one. They'll get rid of a player, they'll do well elsewhere, fans will look at them. Because what do we remember? We remember the ones who stay in the league and are being successful. We don't remember all the ones that we just got rid of and never went on to do anything. Secondly, if you are a hockey player and you made it to the NHL, you have a very high amount of skill at hockey. You are incredible. You are an incredible athlete. Fuck, if you're in the AHL, I'm impressed. D1 college, yeah, I'm impressed, all right? When you are brought in to play higher minutes on a team that is not expecting a ton from you, that just wants you to compete, I think that really helps. Who in our top 6 were you going to bump for Anders Bjork, for Frank Vetrano? Noel Acciari. Noel Acciari didn't, I mean, he's not lights out, but he's good down in Florida. At the end of the day, you have your top 6. You can't always just give a guy a chance, and sometimes he's going to advance elsewhere. That's okay. Can we stop looking at some of these guys being like, if we only knew? Because I still like our top 6 more than any of those players. That's just a side note that I feel like it's brought up too often. Anyway, guys, that does it for me. I just wanted to have a quick conversation with you about the coaching, the GM, what the strategy is going forward. Will be later videos. We'll have expansion draft video. I kind of want to do a decade in review video. We'll keep them coming. But in the meantime, keep in mind, go big!